Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for an all new episode recap of today's Days of Our Lives, September 26, 2025. Is it me alone think that today's episode was just really worth skipping over, especially for a cliffhanger episode? This was just really a snooze fest, especially with this blackout. I thought it was going to be more interesting, but nothing really worth watching. But anyways, let's get into the first part with Felicity and Chanel. So they are stuck in the square because, again, because of the blackout, she can't drive home. She can't drive Felicity home back, right? So she promised Kat that she would look after her, and she tried to entertain her in some way. She had some I guess some decorations left over from 4th of July, so they started wearing it. And yeah, that was really it with them trying to entertain themselves. At some point, Alex comes over and Alex asks what's all of this, and she explains what's going on. So Alex said that he's hungry and he's trying to go to the pub. Felicity also is saying that she's hungry, so he invites them both over to the pub to hang out and really get some food, right? So back to Sarah and Xander. So their baby is down for the count, and it leaves them alone to talk. So Sarah agreed to stay the night and just play it by ear with this whole blackout, because they can't really leave at this point. She can't physically leave or drive her car out because the garage is electrically powered. So at this point, she's just stuck at Xander's. So they decided to just talk more about themselves, and they talk about this couples therapy. And Xander's still against it because he feels as if the two of them can work it out amongst themselves, but she feels as if that was the case, they would have worked out things a long time ago, and maybe they need, further support, further assistance, more therapy. And it has been very positive for him thus far with Marlena, so maybe it can work out with them. They can really iron out whatever issues they have in between them. So she says, let's give it a shot, even one session. So he finally agrees to it. Let's see where it goes, right? So they start talking about, Victoria, and how they really need to do it for her because she does miss either parent when she's with either parent. So let's, work out, right? So they talk about Rachel as well, and I guess they were sharing s'mores together. And Xander didn't really like s'mores because he is Scottish by tradition. It was just a weird thing, but he eventually started to like it. Doesn't like the name, but he enjoyed eating it. So Sarah talks about Rachel naming her pet snake S'mores, and they talk about Rachel some more because remember they used to raise Rachel when she was a little child. So she misses her now and then and always thinks about her. So Xander also was thinking about her because of what she's going through currently, being separated from her mom. And he's no fan of Kristen, but he also can't imagine what it's like to separate from a parent, right? So anyways, they decided to sit down and talk about how they miss each other and the things they would do with together and all of that. So one thing led to another. They start kissing and they end up in bed together. So it seems as if they're reconciling and all that, but again, they have this big old hurdle with Xander not actually being upfront to her about what actually happened between him and Philip. So now let's see how that's gonna really pan out, right? But everything seems to be on the up for Sarah and Xander thus far. So it's also the Q&A session for Stephanie's book. So she's at the hospital, and of course the hospital has a backup generator. So she has her mom's laptop borrowing, and it has power, and they're thankful for that. So Alex says, don't worry about it, you'll be fine, because she's worried that maybe her mom will figure out things, and she may figure out that she is logged into her computer's Anastasia Sands. And Alex is just saying to her that, look, don't worry about it, you'll do fine. And if anything, like, your mom is super busy with what's going on with the blackout and everything going on with the hospital, so I don't think she will find out anything. So Alex decides to leave to pick up some food, and Stephanie was just there answering some questions, answering it very steamy, I should say. At some point she gets a question about if she's in Salem or not, so she spins it to say that it's a Titan publishing event, and she didn't really give off detail if she's in Salem or not. So she was having fun with answering the Q&As and everything, and that was really it. There was nothing more to this scene more than she's just doing a Q&A. As I said, this episode was not really anything interesting for a cliffhanger episode. But let's go on. So it's nice to see Bonnie back, and she has this nice haircut. So she's back in because apparently Justin is having fun in Cleveland. I guess Cleveland Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So his flight is coming in the next day. So she's there trying to tune into the Q&A session for Anastasia Sands because she's a big fan of the book, and she's telling Maggie about it and all the sordid details and that Maggie needs to read it. But Maggie has just been reading nothing but business related stuff and sale releases, and they start talking about Titan and the takeover, and Tony wanting the company to come over. So anyways, she says that she and the boys are trying to work it out, and he's not going to get tightened anytime soon. She is thinking how best they can work together as a family to make sure that Victor's company, it remains in the family, right? So Bonnie's suggesting that, okay, maybe she needs to step into a leadership role like she did before, and she was thinking about it, but hesitant because she wanted the sons to work together. But since everything is just going up and down all the time, like maybe she needs to really reconsider it for good, right? So anyways, Bonnie's also tuning into the Q&A session, and she's enjoying it, and she was the one who asked the question to Stephanie about whether or not she was in Salem, because she really wants to meet this person. And she really wished that Alex and Kate would have been open and tell them the identity of this author, if this author really goes by that name. So Maggie doesn't even know as well, but she promised Bonnie to give her a signed copy of the novel, talking about the upcoming novel that's coming in the fall, the mystery novel and all that. So it wasn't really much to this scene, really. The only comic relief was when Maggie picked up the book and she was going through it, and she was definitely intrigued by some of the details in the book. So Philip is also, according to Brady, burning the midnight oil, literally, in the office. The blackout is there. And I'm saying, how come a multinational company does not have a good generator, a backup generator? But anyways, Brady, and Gabby are there. They can't leave because, again, the gate is electrically powered and they can't drive their cars through there. So they're there. Gabby goes and gets some snacks, and, Brady gets some drinks. So he was saying, if we don't have no electricity, where this come from? So Gabby said this is a personal stash. So, Philip, he had a comment to say about the type of snack, but then he also said he appreciates it. So they sit down and start chatting about personal stuff as well. Yeah, I think Brady did end up going on a call with Rachel because Rachel's staying the night at Julie's with Thomas, and turns out she will be staying over there because she likes the adventures and everything going on right now because of the blackout. And Gabby also tells Philip that Ari is on dorm, so she's fine. So one question I want to know, like, how is Philip a great uncle to Ari? I'm trying to figure it out the whole episode because Will is her dad and Gabby's her mom and Sonny's her stepdad. So how does that work for him to be her great uncle? Let me know in the comments. So anyways, when Brady was out, Gabby and Philip are talking. They talk more about, maybe if Gabby Chic is over back at the mirror, then they're not co-workers no more. Maybe they can see where they're going. So she is trying to play him around and say, let's see where it goes, right? I don't know if she wants to have her cake and eat it, have a relationship with Philip and feel like this is going to work out, knowing that she backstabbed them and really, double cross them with this whole thing, right? Because at some point the three of them are talking, and she asks what's going to be the future of Titan Demira. So Philip is saying that this is not public information, but we are going to sell back Demira to Tony. And she asks, what about Titan? So that's still up for that's still up for discussion, so they're not sure as yet. That time, at some point, when Philip and Brady are talking about themselves, Gabby goes out and talked to Tony and said, look, they're interested to sell you back the company. However, they're not sure about what they want to do with Titan as yet, right? So back in the office, Brady and Philip are talking, and at some point, Philip is made aware that Brady is not sure that he wants to work at Basic Black. He's just staying on for the family, but after that, he doesn't know if he wants to work there. He thinks he wants to do something different. So yeah, that was really it with the conversation. So Alex brings Chanel and Felicity to the pub, and Roman is there. We haven't seen Roman in a while, and the food is still being made because they are using gas operated stoves, and I'm familiar with that. I'm from the Caribbean, so I know what it's like to have a gas powered stove, especially when there is a blackout or electricity is out. So I get that. So, anyways, Chanel and Felicity, he offers them some ice cream that he's trying to get rid of. So they appreciate that, and Alex waits for his food because he's meeting up with Stephanie, right? So, anyways, they sit and talk, and they decide to throw a mini EDM party because they have on the glow in the dark decorations. So they had that for a short while, and then they sit down, and I guess they were trying to make a rave like the ones in international countries that both Chanel and Alex have been to respectively. um I guess they wanted to just make Felicity enjoy what it's like to be a part of one. So, anyways, Felicity goes somewhere else to get some water, and then Alex and Chanel are talking about, just catching up really. So they talk about their time on Body and Soul, and Chanel doesn't miss it because it was just too much drama between Johnny and Joy's, affair, and then Alex, he was at the crossroads because he found out he wasn't Victor's son after all. And then he turns out that, okay, maybe I need a new direction in terms of career. So it was fun while it lasted, but it is what it is with that. And she enjoyed it. The only thing she enjoyed was really working alongside him as well. So that was the only highlight of it all. But she's glad to be out of that situation, right? So Alex finally gets his food, and he ends up leaving. Before that, he and Felicity are made known that um her Chanel and Johnny are actually planning to adopt, try it again. And Johnny is definitely baby proofing the place because they have the meeting with the social worker the next day. So Alex, Roman, and Felicity are happy for them and wish them all the best, and that Chanel is going to be a great mom. So Alex meets up with Stephanie in the square. Stephanie is there, and she's getting creeped out because she's feeling like somebody's watching her. So somebody is there in the background with some flowers, and she didn't get to see who it was because Alex ended up coming up. So she said that she thought she heard somebody, but maybe it's just giving creepy vibes with the blackout. So anyways, Alex asked her how the session went. So she said she enjoyed it, so they can talk about it later at their place, right? So while they're walking, the person with the flowers, which we didn't see the face, he ends up throwing the flowers away in the garbage bin. And I'm thinking maybe it's just one of her exes because she did get asked that question at a Q&A session, and then about a certain information, whether it was based off of true events or not. So she ends up saying that it was made up, but it was something triggering for her, she told Alex previously. But anyways, guys, again, this episode was not even worth it to be a cliffhanger episode. But let me know your comments in this episode below. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys next week. Have a wonderful weekend.